Welcome back, my beautiful people. Things are getting serious here. This is the build guide to the Unhallowed Essence set for the Demon Hunter class. Fully updated. This is absolutely 100% up to date now. Sit back, enjoy. We're gonna begin with the skills. So, what we want to be using, and a lot of this, feel free to mix and match. A lot of it is quite optional, particularly with like passive skills and the stats in Canai's Cube. There are other options here. This just let me just serve as a guide, and this is definitely leaning towards greater rift pushing. This isn't ideal for speed farming. However, I'll be back really soon with a speed farming build for the Unhallowed Essence set as well. This is optimal and definitely ideal for greater rift, high-end greater rift pushing. So let's have a look at what I use. Evasive Fire with Focus, Multishot with Arsenal, Vengeance with Seethe, Vault with Trail of Cinders, Preparation with Invigoration, Companion, Wolf Companion. Now passives are very, very optional here. It really depends on your playstyle and what you prefer, and I've been switching these around a lot lately, just testing things out. I've kind of settled for these four, but it is subject to testing, and also go with what you're comfortable with. So we're going with Ambush, Thrill of the Hunt, Colour of the Week, Ballistics. Some other ones worth mentioning here. Definitely Steady Aim is very, very useful, and I've seen a lot of Demon Hunters use that. And definitely Awareness is super handy because it is quite a squishy set, a squishy build in itself. So Awareness will definitely help you, primarily if you're doing higher and greater rifting. If you've got enough Paragon points, you're not really going to die in regular Nephilim rifts and farming bounties and stuff like that. But definitely for greater rifts, Awareness would be handy. So it's up to you. Mix and match. Test a few things out and let me know what you use down below. Like, it's not a perfect science for anybody. That is why I love Diablo 3. There are so many options and so much to discuss. So don't hold it against me. I'm not telling you must do everything that I'm doing. This merely serves as a guide from a creepy damn uncle. Now, having a look at the all-important gear. So we're going to be using 6 pieces of Unhallowed Essence. So before we go talking about the stats, let's have a look at the actual set bonuses here. So for 2 pieces, your generators generate 2 additional hatred and 1 discipline. So super handy to keep our resources up. So our Evasive Fire is going to benefit there nicely, with focus as well for extra regeneration. For 4 pieces, you gain 60% damage reduction and 60% increased damage for 8 seconds if no enemy is within 10 yards of you. So we've got to keep our distance with this build. It's definitely something that you have to keep in mind, and it's definitely a playstyle that won't suit everybody. But a lot of the times you'll be killing things that are almost off screen. They're going to be that far away and they're just going to be dying. It's super powerful, this build, but it does have to suit your playstyle. It is squishy. If you get right in there and try and tank things, you're going to die. It ain't going to work for you. So keep that in mind. We have to keep our distance 10 yards or more. For 6 pieces, your generators, Multishot and Vengeance, deal 100% increased damage for every point of discipline you have. So our primary damage dealer here is Multishot, and Vengeance is buffing that. So what you have to keep in mind for every point of discipline, if you look at certain items here like the chest, you look in the secondary section there, and the second stat there is plus maximum discipline. We've got plus 12. 12 is the maximum you can get, and you want to make sure that you have your discipline stats in every possible item, which is your chest there, your Yang's recurve here, as you can see, plus 12 maximum discipline, and your quiver, which I've got plus 11 on. So it may not sound like much, however, when you activate preparation here, which, looking at the passive, permanently increase maximum discipline, this stacks with all of those secondary points as well, and you do that much extra damage. So very important thing to keep in mind. You want to keep a lookout for that and make sure that you have plus discipline for those items. Other than that, the usual rules apply. Primary stat with Vitality, definitely want to keep a lookout for critical hit chance and critical hit damage for like your gloves and your rings. They're super important for damage, obviously. Your helm and your boots here, you want to definitely roll up to 15% multi-shot damage. Now, I've got 14 there. It's something that I'm going to have to change, re-roll in the future. But keep it in mind, must have multi-shot damage there up to a maximum of 15%. Alright? And cooldown reduction is super important as well to keep your vengeance up 100% of the time. Otherwise, we're not only going to lose out on hatred regeneration, we're going to lose out a lot of damage reduction as well, because we're going to be also activating the Dark Heart rune, which we'll get to in a second. So usually like in your shoulders, your main hand weapon there, your bow, your quiver, even your rings can roll with cooldown reduction. Try and aim for about 35 to 40%, and that way you should have your vengeance up 100% of the time. 40% I think is definitely enough. I'm actually a little bit under 35%, so I have like a split second where I have to reactivate vengeance, but I'm going to change that. I haven't played much this season, so there's still a lot of work to do with this, but you're going to be able to do this yourself, and at least you get a bit of an understanding if you haven't played the Demon Hunter before, or if it's a new class to you. So looking at other items, now that we've covered off all of the set items, we want to be using a Hellfire Amulet with a really useful passive. Now, Perfectionist isn't that useful, but I haven't farmed the Hellfire Amulet that much. Perfectionist does increase damage reduction for me at the moment, and at the moment I want to be farming Paragon points as much as possible by farming high-end Greater Rifts, going as high as I can go to get those the big XP bonuses and just get my Paragon points up, and then I can definitely start farming Hellfire Amulets, you know, one thing at a time. Definitely not the most useful passive there. Something like Ballistics or Thrill of the Hunt would be awesome. That way you can put in something else in your actual passive slots. So keep that in mind. You will have to farm your Hellfire Amulet, but it's definitely the best amulet in slot. And very important, you want to increase your stat there to 20%, up to a maximum of 20% fire skill damage. Mine's 19 at the moment. I've got a bit of work to do, but you can get a maximum of 20, and that increases your multi-shot damage that much more. So super handy there. You want to be using focus and restraint, focus, whatever. You don't have to, like, you know, have them in any particular order. So what happens when you have these two rings equipped is they give you 2 set bonuses just for having them both equipped. So one is when you hit with a resource generating attack or primary skill, deal 50% increased damage for 5 seconds. When you hit with a resource spending attack, deal 50% increased damage for 5 seconds. We're always going to be using resource generating attacks and resource spending attacks, so it's all good. We're going to keep this bonus up 100% of the time when we're working through Gutter Rifts or farming, whatever the hell we're doing. Witching Hour is definitely the way to go for damage. There's nothing that really that compares with the belt slot other than Witching Hour. It really does increase damage by... it can go up to 20-25% easily. So if you roll a really good Witching Hour, definitely slot that in there. Wraps of Clarity, super handy for survivability. So whenever we cast or whenever we use our hatred generators, it reduces damage taken by 47%. I believe it goes up to 50%. And again, you want to go fire skills. Make sure you roll fire skills, 20% increased damage there to increase that multi-shot damage even more. Obviously, for those of you that have played a Demon Hunter Unhallowed Essence set class before, you're going to know that Yang's recurve is an absolute must, and you want to definitely keep a lookout for your legendary stat at the bottom there. Multishot attacks 50% faster, and its damage is increased by 180%. The more damage increase you have there, the better. Even if you have an ancient that has more sort of damage output at the top there, you always have to look out for the actual legendary stat. It'll be more handy and more beneficial to your damage output. And definitely want to keep a lookout for the maximum discipline there. Plus 12 is definitely ideal. And of course, Dead Man's Legacy. Again, multi-shot hits enemies below 60% health twice, and its damage is increased by 188%. Same sort of thing. Keep a lookout for your legendary stat there. The higher the stat, the damage increase, the better. And once again, you want to make sure that you have some plus maximum discipline. 12 would be ideal. I've also opted to go with cooldown reduction there because I didn't really roll much cooldown reduction on any other items, so that gives me a bit of a boost and lets me have vengeance up almost 100% of the time. I just have like a split second where it's lagging, but at the moment I'm not struggling with that at all. The all-important legendary gems, we're using Zay's Stone of Vengeance, which increases our damage by X amount for the more that we level it up. Obviously, you do more damage the higher it levels up, for every 10 yards between you and the enemy. So the further away you are, the more damage that we do. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of abilities and stats here where we have to keep far away from our enemies, and that's why when you see my example, I'm pretty much just shooting arrows, multi-shot the whole time, and things are just dying before they can even really come to the screen. So definitely want to keep as much distance as possible, and also 20% chance on hit to stun the enemy for 1 second. Goes hand in hand with Bane of the Trapped over here. Increases damage against enemies under the effects of control impairing effects by 30%, 30.6% in my case, but obviously that increases as you level up the gem. Also, when you hit rank 25 and higher, you gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 10 yards by 30%. So it goes hand in hand pretty much with itself. If anything comes within 15 yards, they're slowed, and we get that multiplier there for our damage. Nice. And finally, Bane of the Stricken. Each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by such and such percent. My one's 1.25 at the moment. Obviously increases as you level up your gems, as you keep progressing through greater rifts. And probably most importantly, you gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. So Rift Guardians are super easy with the Unhallowed Essence set, particularly when we're using the Bane of the Stricken there. Looking at Canai's Cube, I think it's going to spark some different opinions, because a lot of people are going with different things in Canai's Cube from what I've seen, but this is specifically for high-end Greater Rift farming. Like, there are other variations and changes we can go with if we're just doing bounties, you know, to move quicker. Tactical advantage would be awesome in our passives. There are other changes we can do, and I'll talk about them in another video. Right now, we'll just focus on Greater Rift, high-end Greater Rift progress, and then I'll talk about some speed farming and other stuff in a future video. So looking at Canai's Cube, we've got Dawn here, which reduces the cooldown of Vengeance by 65% and really helps us to not have to enchant every item to have cooldown reduction. So it's a big boost to Vengeance and definitely lets us keep it up 100% of the time, makes that a lot easier. Armor, Visage of Goons. Now, Visage of Goons, when you activate Vengeance, which we're using Seethe as the rune at the moment, with the Visage of Goons, it actually gains the effect of the Dark Heart rune, which is a damage reduction rune, and that's super important, I feel, for high-end Greater Rift progress, because this is such a squishy build, and if you're taking damage from ranged enemies, it's really going to smash you and sometimes even one-shot you if you haven't got Vengeance activated with the Dark Heart rune. So with that plus Perfectionist that I have in my Hellfire Amulet, I get a little bit of extra damage reduction, and it's definitely handy. It's still pretty squishy even with these items and stats geared up to help us. But anyway, Visage of Goons and Jewelry, Convention of Elements. Lastly, let's talk about Batagon points. So movement speed, you definitely want to be capped at 25%, which includes what you have on your item. So if your boots had 12% movement speed increase, which mine don't, you'd only put 13% in here, which equals 25% maximum. Because none of my items have any movement speed increase stats, I've gone for 25% movement speed increase here, and then bang, everything else into dexterity. Offense, we're going to go with cooldown reduction, then critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Kind of even them out. Firstly, max out your cooldown reduction, and then just keep your critical hit chance and critical hit damage kind of even there. And then lastly, go into attack speed. Defense, we want to go everything into resist all first, then armor, then life, and then life regen last of all. Utility, probably the least important, we're going to go with life per hit, resource cost reduction, area damage, and then gold find in that order. Boom! Now, if you didn't see my video where I made a comeback to Diablo 3 and announced that I've gone back to the Demon Hunter class for Season 15, well, shame on you, because I'm going to show some clips from that video now, just the gameplay that I did, which was just like moments ago anyway, so it's not like I've had days or hours to increase my Paragon levels. It's pretty much exactly where I'm at now. My little Uncle Creepy Demon Hunter here. So let's check out some gameplay, and then it's all up to you. Check it out, and hopefully this guide was helpful. God damn, I love you all. Alright people, so here we go. I'm not actually playing right now. This is a little something that I prepared earlier. So if y'all didn't see my video previously about I'm back as the Demon Hunter in Season 15 and how I was just explaining about what I've been doing lately and that I've been away and I haven't played much of this season. Maybe you just want to see the Unhallowed Essence build. So this is your gameplay video right here. As you can see, it's a GR70 and we're going through it so damn easy. You got to keep your distance. Like I said, make sure you're at least 10 yards away from enemies and just fire multi-shot. Fire multi-shot. Use your evasive fire when you're running out of hatred, and don't forget to keep your vengeance up 100% of the time. If you haven't quite got that 40% cooldown reduction, then just make sure you're not stay away from enemies completely until you can reactivate it, because it is quite squishy and you might struggle with survivability. That's pretty much as I can explain. And then your Wolf Companion and your preparation are your damage buffs. So I usually use them throughout the greater rifts, because I don't usually see when elites are coming up. So I'll usually activate Wolf Companion and then I'll just fire off a preparation as well randomly. It's good to have one of those up your sleeve when you're coming across an elite pack, especially if you're doing higher end greater rifts. Like this 70 doesn't really matter because you don't even need any damage increases. You can just like cut through everything and you'll complete it without dying very, very easily. But if you're doing like 80 plus and anything above that, you know, depending on your Paragon level and depending on what other items you might be using to boost your survivability, you definitely want to save those damage increases for elite packs so you can just down them that much quicker, keep moving through, and keep progressing through your greater rifts. So we're nearly there. I might as well just keep talking through the whole video here. And some of you that have really missed me, at least you get to see like your creepy damn uncle a lot more. It wasn't just the previous video. Previous video, I was just explaining where I've been. This video, primary focus is just to explain how this build works. That's what I'm setting out to do here, just to explain to everyone how the Unhallowed Essence set works. And I'm just hoping that I can reach out and help someone. That's it. That's what makes me feel good, if I'm helping someone. For people that might not be sure how the Demon Hunter mechanics work, or if you're struggling with the Demon Hunter, or if you're not too sure what to go with for this season, because there have been some changes like in recent patches, so I think this definitely works well, particularly with Visage of Goons there. Gives us some damage reduction, as well as using Seethe in our rune, which gives us that hatred regen. So if you can farm Greater Rift 70s, you're going to level up your Paragons in no time, and your gems. Like right now, I'm going to get like, I'm not going to die, I'm going to get five gem level ups at the end of this video. So, you know, keep getting 5 every time, it's going to be awesome. And this is an enhanced Greater Rift as well, I believe. I think I clicked the button. So if you don't die, you get a bonus roll, and obviously if you pay some gold, enhance the rift, empower the rift. If it's an empowered rift, you get another roll, so that's 3 regular rolls, 1 for the empowered and 1 for not dying. And Rift Guardian, you definitely want to try and keep those cooldowns available so you can activate Wolf Companion and your preparation, and then boom! Smash through that Rift Guardian, just like that. So that is the Unhallowed Essence set for the Demon Hunter class. I'm going to go back and level up some Paragon points. I'll be back with an updated set dungeon video for the Unhallowed Essence as well. And then after that, I'm dying to play through some other builds and sets with the Demon Hunter this season. I'm not going to just stick with Unhallowed Essence, the set. I'm going to play through all of them. I'm going to update all my videos for every goddamn Demon Hunter set, and also probably every set dungeon as well. You know, you guys tell me what you want in the comments below, and I promise y'all, I'll do it. Just make me one promise. If you don't want to subscribe, just come back and visit. I'll appreciate that just as much.